Hi guys, today we're going to start with the first part of dividing fractions. So again, we're starting with our organizer and we're going to start by filling in kind of the center here. Now in order to make this work, I'm going to kind of split the fractions dividing part over 2 days. So we're going to say dividing fractions and we'll call this part 1. Now here's the good news. The good news is that if we know how to multiply, if we can somehow take our dividing problem and make it a multiplying problem, we already know how to do it. So we're going to start with kind of some big ideas and then work our way through some basic kind of problems today. And then on the next video, we'll kind of go a little bit more in depth and deal with whole numbers and mixed numbers. Okay, so here's our first one. Ooh, let me back up. Before I do the first one, let's talk about some big ideas. So first of all, when we start these dividing problems, we're going to start just like we did with multiplying. All of the pieces that we have need to be fractions. Which means if they're mixed numbers or whole numbers, we're going to need to change them to improper fractions for this to work. Okay, now there's kind of a mechanism that goes with dividing, and it uses these letters. So this K is that we're going to keep the first fraction. We are going to take our problem for the C and we're going to change division to multiplication. And for the F, we're going to flip the second fraction. Now the good news is once we have all that, then we're going to multiply just like we did before. And we're going to just keep going and following the steps for multiplying. So let's take a look at just some basic ones again today, and then we'll see how we do as we work through. So here's our first one. 1/4 divided by 9/10. So remember, we're going to use that keep, change, flip. So we keep the first fraction, we change division to multiplication, and we flip the second one. So instead of having 9/10, it's going to be 10/9. Now the good news is if we do that, we already know how to solve these. We just multiply across. So 1 times 10 will be 10, and 4 times 9 will be 36. Now, we need to take this piece and put it into Desmos to see if we can get it to reduce it all. So we have 10/36, which is going to reduce to 5/18. Okay. Let's go to our next one. So for the next one, we have 5/9 divided by 1/2. So remember, we're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to change division to multiplication, and we're going to flip the second fraction. So once we do that, then we're going to multiply across. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 times 9 is 9. So we're going to see if this reduces. So I can see in this one that it doesn't reduce, but the top number is bigger than the bottom. So we're going to have some dividing to do. So 9 would go into 10 once and would have 1 left over. So it's going to be 1 1/9. Okay, remember, if you need to pause as we go in order to have access to getting everything on your paper, feel free. Okay, here's the next one. 3/8 divided by 7/8. So now we should be getting pretty good at this keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. Then we're going to go ahead and multiply across. So 3 times 8 is going to be 24. 8 times 7 is 56. So now we're going to take this part and we're going to go put it in Desmos. So 24 over 56 is going to reduce down to 3/7. Now, good news is at least that's a proper fraction. The top is not bigger than the bottom. So once I get this, I'm finished with that piece. Okay, let's do one more on the front and then we'll go to the back. So this is D. So 5/10 divided by 6/12. So if I'm going through and looking at this, I know I'm going to keep, I'm going to change, and then I'm going to flip. Okay, then I can go ahead and multiply across. So 5 times 12 is 60. 10 times 6 is 60. So this is just going to go down to 1. Okay, we have a few more to look at on the back, so flip this over. Now we're going to start to look at some whole numbers. So I have 1 divided by 3/10. So remember, if you get a whole number, that you just take that and put it over 1, wherever it is, whether it's the first number or whether it's the second. Once you do that, this problem, everything's a fraction. So we're going to keep, change, and flip. Now we can multiply across. So 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3. Now, if I put this in Desmos, it's not going to reduce. But because the top number is bigger than the bottom, we are going to have to divide. So 3 goes into 10 3 times with 1 left over. So it's going to be 3 1/3. Okay, we're going to do a couple more with those whole numbers, then we're going to call it good. Okay, here is F. 4 divided by 1/6. So when I see this whole number here, I'm going to put it over 1 because that makes it into a fraction form. So now, keep, change, flip. And then we can multiply across. So 4 times 6 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. And any number over 1 is equal to itself. So 24 over 1 is just going to be 24. Now, these last two have had the whole number being the first value. I want you to see it's not really any different when it's the second value. So here's G. 2/4 divided by 3. So again, as soon as I see that there's a whole number, I'm going to put it over 1. So now I'm going to keep, change, and flip. And now I can go ahead and multiply across. So 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. So let's take this and put it into Desmos and see if it'll reduce. So 2 over 12 is going to give them 1/6. Now, because it is a proper fraction, then I'm good to go on that one. Okay, here's our last one for today. Here is H. So 1 over 6 divided by 6. So again, as soon as I see that whole number, I'm going to put it over 1. So now everything is a fraction. So I have 1 over 6. It's going to keep, change, flip. Then we can go ahead and multiply across. So 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 6 is 36. And that can't reduce. That's the final answer. Okay, we'll keep dealing with dividing in the next fraction, or in the next video.